What is up, guys? Here we are with a two-time winning Blackbeard deck profile here. Here we are with a man named Hunter V, or if you want to, are you at liberty to give your real name?
Yeah, my name is Fan Gang, but on One Piece I actually go by a Gundam Lover, so it's a corny name my friend made me. Don't ask too much, but
Yeah, yeah,
I went with the punches, and I stuck with it. So
yeah. So Blackbeard, not a very deck that a lot of people use, especially in today's meta with Zoro running around. Aren't you afraid that Zoro is just gonna like knock you out or something, or do you have like ways to like, do you know how to play against Green Zoro, to basically win all your matches?
funny enough, I actually did not go against the Green Zero in the 10 games I won across my two Star Championships, but I will say Zoro is running different types of technology. Some pieces like Gukimaru is extremely deadly into Blackbeard, whereas other setups that just runs the normal Cavendish, Fatigue, and things like that, those setups I don't believe to be too much of a problem. Same with Electrical Luna. I know some decks run that, but I also have not seen it in the, especially the national winning list. I think they weren't running either Dukimaru nor Luna, and I believe that's to be uh, that makes the matchup a lot easier to handle.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, a lot of people have shifted on as well because I've been playing on Sim, and then people have shifted completely to that build, the Fishman East Blue version, which won the nationals essentially. Okay, and then do you know your matchups?
That's right.
Okay, so you attended two store championships, one of them having 32 players, and you won first in that one, going undefeated for what is it, 5-0? Is it 5-0 for one day?
Yep.
And then the next day
Yep. 5-0.
and then next day you attended another tournament. Is that what it was? A 64-man tournament?
Yeah, so the first one I went to was 2 weeks ago. That was the one with 56 players.
Uh
So
huh.
the cap was 64, ended up with 56. And the XO pair down in round five lost. So I took it home after 5 rounds. But it would have been a Rayleigh matchup at the sixth, which I'm really, really comfortable with.
Okay, so you're even comfortable with Rayleigh. I mean, had an interview with Heart Pirates, and he said Rayleigh is a really difficult matchup. But even though he did win some of them, he didn't win all of them, essentially. And then yeah, so in the
Yeah,
next tournament, you played a 32-man tournament. Is that correct?
that's right.
And then how many people
That
joined the
happened
tournament?
2 days ago.
And then how many rounds was it? It's like a 4 round, 3 rounds tournament.
That'd be 5 rounds. So 32 would be 5 rounds. 64 would normally be 6 rounds, but because there was a pair down, because there wasn't exactly 64 people, there were only three XOs going to round five, and
Okay.
the pair down XO lost.
Okay, so that's
So
right.
that's
So
why it ended
10
after
rounds.
five
So you're
rounds.
basically 10-0 with this particular list.
That is right.
That's correct. Awesome, awesome.
Doing
Okay,
top of the world.
let's talk about your matchups throughout each the days. So let's talk about the first one, which is a 56-man tournament. Yeah, let's talk about that. What did you play each round, and how did you feel about each of those matchups?
Yeah. So in the 56-man tournament, the first round was against Abani. I lost dice roll, but they went first for some reason. So, sorry, they went second for some reason. So Blackbeard is extremely favored versus Bonnie going first. You can basically set up your control curve and pop everything they summon for free, and they have no board to ever swing at you while you're building up yours. So that happened, and it really wasn't too much to write home about. Rounds two and three were Rayleigh matchups. I believe I lost dice roll both times as well. The first player took first, which I believe to be incorrect. I believe that Blackbeard going second curve versus Rayleigh is extremely powerful with cards like Doc Q and Forecast Yu, popping everything that they play on Dawn 1 and 3. So I don't believe Rayleigh should go first in that matchup, but the first opponent chose to go first, and it was a pretty easy victory for me when I found the right cards on curve. The second Rayleigh match in round three was they went second, and I believe that's a tougher curve because they can play a Luffy on four, and you'll usually have to rest your Doc Q that you play on Dawn three to KO one of their one drops that they play on Dawn two, and so you won't have a standing Doc Q to KO the Luffy on that they would play on Dawn four, right? So that's why I consider it to be harder um, going
Going
first
first, yeah.
versus Rayleigh when they choose to pick second. But regardless, I think the deck has more than enough tools to still deal with it. I believe I KO'd the Luffy with a four cost event, and then just proceeded to control the game and still won out at the end. Round four was a UP Luffy matchup. So I believe I won dice roll and got to go first, and I think that's pretty critical in that matchup as well because you want to be setting up that control curve. Um, they chose not to starve me, which I also believe to be incorrect, and I ended up taking that pretty comfortably because with like 3 or 4 cards off of life, you're pretty healthy on your hand in that matchup. And then in round 5, I played against a GP Luffy. I actually beat a GP Luffy in both of these tournaments, despite it being a pretty tough matchup. Um, I believe I lost dice roll, and they took go first, which I again believe to be incorrect because in that matchup, my preferred game plan is actually Burgess, and you'll see in my deck profile and the cards that I choose to include, I'm full in on the Burgess game plan as a secondary option for matchups like GP Luffy, where you'll never be able to control their board because they're playing 2 bodies a turn, so you have to go on the offensive and beat them down before they beat you. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. I think at the end of the game, I had 2 Burgesses that were like 11Ks and 10 beard set up. And so, yeah, I went for life and got the win.
Sweet. Let's talk about your so the first tournament you were able to win the Ben Beckman prize card. Do you still have that in your possession by chance? Just to show the audience that this is
I
proof.
do.
This is proof that you won.
Here are my Beckmans.
There you go. Wow, you have 2 of them. Nice, nice. Okay, so that's proof that Blackbeard does have
Yeah.
a lot of ability to do well into this format, despite what people are saying. But then again, you didn't play
Yeah.
against Green Zoro, so it might just be yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so second round. So
Yeah, I
second.
mean, every deck's got to have a couple of bad matchups, right? There's no perfect deck that beats everything, and
Yes.
it's the standalone best deck in the meta. So
Yeah.
this is a great diverse meta that's flexible, and you can win with a lot of decks.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I saw Kuzan winning a European championship at one point, but I haven't seen it since. So,
That's right.
but yeah, so let's talk about your second tournament run. What were your matchups there? Was it similar to the first ones, the first tournament?
It was overall similar. I also didn't win a single dice roll in the second time I went around. I really need to learn how to throw dice better. But outside of that, it was RG Smoker in round 1, Rayleigh in round 2, P Luffy in round 3, and then GP in round 4, and then UP in round 5. So a lot
Nice.
of similar matchups, but a couple that could take you by surprise if, especially when they win dice roll and get the preferred curve that they want.
Wow, nice. So you played a very diverse field, but not quite too diverse. It's all meta decks, I would say. Even Bonnie being one of them as well. And then the only thing you didn't play was
Mm-hmm.
Zoro. But this is fine. I mean, you were able to go 10-0 with this list, and that's pretty a good accomplishment with Blackbeard especially. Okay, so now I'm kind of curious
Yeah.
what your deck is. Let's see if it really differs from the traditional list of Blackbeard, especially into this particular field, or if it, there's similarities mostly. Yeah, so we're gonna tune into that one. We'll see.
I think it'll be straightforward. I mean, we'll start with full lead. This is, a great stage in this deck. It lets you search for free after you've played it, and then to find the exact card you need on curve. I'm playing 4 Strongers as well. So, uh, very strong 2K counter that's situationally used to catch up 1 tempo when you're playing the control game plan. I'm also playing 4 Caribous. This is a very high value card, 1 cost chump blocker, and also a 2K counter. All you know, it's unsearchable, but that's why you need to be running for, so you see it more in your hand. And I'm running a total of 7 unsearchable cards in my deck. Through my testing, I think somewhere between 7 and 9 is kind of the upper limit. Any more than that, and you do run the risk of bricking like once or twice a day, even. So, but I'm running 7 and have the space to play 4 Caribous. Lafitte, I'm actually running 4 of as well. So this is actually a great card in that it's neutral in cards on the first turn. It gets you a card back on the first turn, and it takes the chump block. And if your opponent doesn't deal with it, then it gets you perpetual value and card advantage. And if they do, then it's as if you played a counter from hand for free. So it's very good for using up your extra Dawn and just continue to keep your hand healthy against matchups like Rayleigh or Zoro. I am also playing 4 copies of my era. So I'm playing a total of 12 searchers, and this is to maximize the deck's consistency, but also enable the Burgess game plan. right? I'll paint you a picture. So against the P Luffy that I beat in my second tournament, right? I started the game with the best hand imaginable, going second, of course, because I lost dice roll, but I had stage and my era, right? Played both on 2 Dawn, ended up with 4 cards in trash, played Burgess on 4 Dawn, and then played a second my era on 6 Dawn. And at that point, my Burgess was already a 7K swinging into their 4 cost Zoro Zoro. And then the turn after on 8 Dawn, as I'm giving more counter in hand as well, my Burgesses grew to, I think, like 8Ks or 9Ks. And they were swinging, like easily clearing the opponent's board, as opposed to needing to pay and rest multiple bodies to clear like maybe a single card through a control setup. Right. So I think Burgess is a extremely potent game plan in certain matchups, especially when going second, and you need 4 copies in my era to maximize that game plan. Doc Q at 4, of course, to beat, it's just a core card in any control game plan, but also especially valuable in the Rayleigh matchup to kill their 1-drops. I'm only playing 1 copy of Blackboard text. So I know there's probably some skepticism around, okay, how do you deal with Zoro and all of that? I will say that Blackbeard is a deck where keeping Dawn up is very difficult in the mid game when you're trying to play bodies and fulfill your own game plan. And it really isn't until late game that you have that luxury to keep some Dawn up. And I find that oftentimes there's only one turn where it really matters to deny your opponent's attack, and then you win off of the crackback, kind of a one fell swoop. So that's why I'm only running 1. And if you're a believer of 2, you can always cut a 4-cost event and play a second one. Against better opponents, you can always bluff the card. So just by keeping 2 Dawn up, sometimes they'll swing differently or incorrectly, and you've kind of accomplished your goal without needing to actually expend the card from your hand, right? And again, like this is a deck where you search through your entire deck throughout the course of a game, and even if you see only like you play only 1 Black Vortex, you'll probably see it throughout the course of the game, and you'll only need to play it on the 1 turn you need it. So that's the rationale for running 1 Black Vortex. I am also running, so 4 costs, Burgess at 4, of course. Again, I believe this to be a extremely potent game plan for many meta matchups. Some examples include GP Luffy, Mirror, any yellow decks, and I didn't even run into any yellow decks, right? When you're going second, it's quite good. I played this game plan against Smoker, and I played it against P Luffy, and I killed them in 6 turns by just having Burgesses that were extremely big.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. I'm playing 4-cost Shiryu at 3. Okay, so this is probably another point of contention. The card is not necessarily, super flexible, I'll say, but because you want to play this card on 4 Dawn as frequently as you want to be, basically, right? Like if the situation arises where you want to play this card, you want to be able to see it on 4 Dawn, and having 3 ensures that you see it as early as possible in the situations where you want to play it. And if you see it later on, you can always pitch it or use it as a 1 counter, which is better than the average brick in this deck. It is a good card into Rayleigh, of course, but it is also good into the green decks to KO chump blockers like Koshiro. And against UP Luffy specifically, it is good at killing Zoro when you lose dice roll and go second. So overall, like I had great success playing 3, and I believe that the power of the card in this meta warrants seeing 3 or playing 3 so that you see it consistently. Finally, there's 1 copy of Sunburned Wolf that I'm playing. Really good blocker that gets summoned off of Kuzan. It's nice that it has really high cost, so it doesn't get affected by cards like Gravity Blade. It does unfortunately fall victim to Quina, but what can you do? Such is life. In very rare situations, this may be your best play on 4 Dawn, but that ideally you're playing something else on 4 Dawn. In terms of events, I'm playing 3 copies of Finger Pistol. So this is my primary tool for removal, and it's because Finger Pistol hits 5 cost, and it 5 cost is a big problem for the deck, right? So Van Augur plus Doc Q hits 4 costs. And then when you summon a 7 cost Blackbeard, yeah, that plus Augur does get you 5 to 6 costs, but that's an expensive setup where sometimes you want to be able to, KO a Cavendish on the turn it's played. And Fingered Pistol lets you do that while also building up trash for your Burgess game plan. It also has a really extreme, really valuable trigger effect, right? So sometimes let's be real, card games require a little bit of RNG, and sometimes you need to high roll a bit to win. And Finger Pistol is, I would say, like one of the only cards that give you that high roll potential off of life. That and I think that's powerful, right? Some like the one game it helps you win will drastically change how your tournament goes. So I'm very, very positive on this card, and I'm running 3 to maximize the chance that I see it in life. I'm actually playing One Black Hole as well. So this is a searchable card. It's good for turning off like a blocker late game, and it's also good for KOing specific threats like Yukimaru for instance, but also like 3-cost Sanji and Rayleigh, right? You deny them the draw. So the silence is actually useful, and of course the mirror, but I haven't seen others play this deck like I do. In terms of 5 costs, starting with 4 Kuzans, this one's pretty self-explanatory. And then 4 Van Augers as well. In terms of top end, we have only 2 7-cost Blackbeards. So this card is only played in 2 matchups. It's played in Bonnie, and it's played in UP Luffy. And this card is a brick otherwise, and you only get to play it on turn 7 or 8, realistically. So because you have a few extra turns to look for it, I find that 2 is enough to allow me to find it, but not so many that it's clogging up my hand and making it difficult for me to, counter out of chump attacks and things of that sort. So that's why I'm only running 2. And then finally, we're playing 3 copies of 10-cost Blackbeard. So this is, I see some people running only 2 or maybe even 1. I quite disagree with that because this is the one card that helps you win the bonding matchup, especially when you're going second. And it's really good to be able to keep these in circulation as you thin out your deck, so that when you're in kind of that top decking, you're running out of resources because you're pitching so much and you're trying to counter, you're top decking, and then you're finding this off of full lead on your Tindon turn. Like, it's valuable to have the ability to do that consistently, and 3 lets you do that more consistently.
Okay.
So that's the list.
So I have some
Yeah.
questions. So there's some cards that you omitted. I believe one of them would be Tempest Kick, being the top of my list, or top of my yeah. So what do you think that Tempest Kick should not be played in this deck, and why or why not?
Yeah. So I've experimented with Tempest Kick. It was certainly much better in the previous meta since UP Luffy was so prevalent. I think in this meta, it is only good into UP Luffy and potentially Bonnie, because and the problem for that is this card is never active on the turns you really need it to be, right? So what do I mean by that? Against UP Luffy, when you're going second, right, you play a Kuzan on 6 and you play a 7-cost Blackbeard on 8. And on the other side, right, they may have ramped once or twice, and they're playing a 8-cost. They have an 8-cost standing on when you pass over to them. When they should be at 7 Don, they might be at 8 or 9 already. So they play a big body, and that's the one turn where you want Tempest Kick to be active, right? But on your turn 4, right, on your 8 Don turn, you're never going to have 9 cards in trash. So it's a card where it's a brick in hand. It's not searchable, and it's a brick because it's not searchable. You are inclined to keep it more in hand for the potential of using it, right? But it's not active on the turn you want to use it, and it's better on a later turn. But at that point, ideally, you've already set up your value engine through your board, right? Like, it's a win more type of card, which you really don't need in a deck like this that values consistency and keeping pace, and just like stopping your opponent dead in their tracks, as opposed to, like being able to reduce something by 3 costs way later and getting one extra swing with a Van Auger, let's say.
Yeah, I could totally see that line of reasoning. There's like one more card that I forgot that Blackbeard plays. I think it's called or it's Kuzan, the blocker Kuzan. I saw some people play it, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it's something that it's a point of contention, like you said before.
Yeah, and I'll talk about Laboon next. I think that's going to be a contentious
Right, right,
card that
of
I've
course.
omitted here as well. Yeah, but I'll talk about Blocker Kuzan first. I believe Blocker Kuzan is very awkward to use, right? It's only really good in the mid game, and you generally want to block. The most optimal use for it is, of course, blocking the very last opponent attack, and then summoning a 5-cost Kuzan, which you can then trash for a Burgess or what have you on the following turn, right? And that's your ideal dream scenario. But you got to pay 6 cost for 6 cost, and you're paying 1 extra Dawn to play this Kuzan as opposed to 5-cost Kuzan. You have to block the last attack and have it KO this card. And the last attack will often only be a 5K or 6K swing, right? So you're not getting too much value beyond a simple 1K counter, which you're paying the 1 Dawn for, let's say. And then finally, if they happen to not KO it, right? So they hold their Dawn or they hold their last swing, and they just develop instead. You can't swing with it. It's a 6K blocker that you just have to let sit, and your opponent kind of dictates when that becomes a Burgess that you can swing with. So I think it's really awkward to use, and good players will not let you use it effectively, and it just turns into a 1K counter basically on the very last swing, and you're paying 1 extra Dawn for that, right? So that's why I don't like 6-cost Kuzan in this meta.
I see, I see, I see.
Yeah. And I promised to talk a little bit about Laboon as well, right? So the reason for that is Laboon is best on the go second curve for the control game plan. And I've got finger pistols for that, right? When you're going second, I think the ideal setup is to start by playing control until you fall behind, because you're going second, your curve's not good for playing control. And then so finger pistol does kind of the same thing as Laboon. You don't even need to have a dock Q along with it. It KOs the 5 cost on your 6 on turn, but it also builds trash for your next turn where you can start to play 2 Burgesses, let's say, right? And then you're setting up for your Burgess crackbacks and after you drop 10-cost Blackbeard as well, right? Your 10-cost Blackbeard kind of protects you, stuns their biggest body, and then your Burgesses are cracking at whatever they want to, whether it's sport or life.
Okay, cool. So would you make any changes to this list going forward for the rest of the meta and also OP-13, or are you going to play a different deck? I'm assuming.
If I can find a way to make Blackbeard viable for OP-13, you bet your marbles I will do my darndest to make that happen. I will say though, Emu is looking quite tempting at OP-13 as well. And that's a deck that plays and shares some similarities with Blackbird, let's say, right? It's got some filter mechanics and trash mechanics as well. And it is a kind of style that I think I'll be able to play effectively. I will say though, for PRBO2, there is a 4-cost Shuri blocker that's coming out. I've thought about the card quite a bit, and my conclusion is it's about as good as Black Hole, and so it warrants no more than a 1-of in the deck as a replacement for Syndrome Wall, right? And the reason for that is it KOs a base cost 4 or less, and Black Hole kind of does the same thing. And you're expending the card. Black Hole KOs it on your turn, so they can't swing with it, whereas they would swing with it first, which you would then have to block. So you're card neutral in the same way. It probably kills your Shuryu. You have to let it kill your Shuryu to have its effect activate and then kill it anyway. So I don't rate 4-cost blocker Shuryu very highly, but I think it's situationally or overall better than Sandra and Wolf as an emergency blocker in the late game, since it could KO an extra unit, or it also innately has higher base costs. It'll be an 8-cost by itself, as opposed to Sandron, which requires you to build up your trash somewhat, and may potentially only be a 6-cost and gets removed by Gravity Blade, let's say.
Yeah, that format is going to be pretty short-lived. So the only change you would make, you wouldn't make any changes because your Shiryu reasoning was kind of like, okay, well, it's good, but it's not as good as Black Hole.
It's good. It's just as good as Black Hole, which means, and I don't rate Black Hole super highly.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah. So no changes then
uh,
for PPR02 for Blackbeard.
nope, no changes.
Nice, nice. Okay. Well, it was really nice having you for this particular profile. Yeah, you were really in depth with some of the Blackbeard techs, which is something that a lot of Blackbeard, I mean, I would say a lot of Blackbeard players are kind of like new to it. And they're like, oh, I want to play this because it's a rogue deck. Not a lot of people play it, but they don't really understand the turn by turn progression, the card choices, the reasoning. And so I thank you on the behalf of all the Blackbeard community for contributing this information.
No problem. And I'm actually a relatively new player. I only started in OP-11. So, and this was the one deck I chose to pick up, and it's the I happened to find some success with it after a few short months. And
Oh,
so I think there's certain principles that the deck, like there's some it has a reputation for being hard to pilot, but I don't necessarily agree. I think it's hard to master, but there's a lot you can learn very quickly to be effective on the deck already. And yeah, so with some of my recent victories, I actually started a metafy. So yeah, like it's hoping to share that knowledge with as
oh,
many
you have a
people as
metafy?
possible.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you wanna put that out there so that people can contact you for any sort of potential Blackbeard
Yep.
advice.
Yeah, so it's metafy.gg slash at Gundam Lover. And I can flash that up. Uh, you can edit that in when after the video, I'm sure.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, for sure. So Gundam Lover Metafy. Okay, .gg. Any shout outs you want to give out for like the friend that pretty much linked us up?
Yeah, I'll shout out my friend that linked this up. Thanks for introducing us, and just also thanks for getting into the game. So I first bought the structure deck, and then he already had some of the Blackbeard SRs from mainly Kuzan and Teach and some of the events. But he basically set me up with the deck and made it really easy for me to play the game. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that because I'm really enjoying the game a lot.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again, Mr. Gundam Lover, and hopefully you'll have more success with Blackbeard in the future. Or if you want to switch over to Emu, yeah, you have that liberty as well.
Great. Thank you.